Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. I am so incredibly excited to share this deck with you all today. We are diving into one of the coolest new commanders from Edges of Eternities, the one, the only, Tannuk Steadfast Second. Right off the bat, Tannuk is a mono red powerhouse that does something really unique and fun. For 4 mana, we get this awesome 3/5 Kavu pilot, and his first ability is a game changer. Other creatures you control have haste. This immediately turns our deck into a proactive, aggressive machine, letting us apply pressure the moment our creatures hit the board. But his second ability is where the real magic happens. He gives all of our red creature cards and artifact cards in our hand warp. This means we can cast them for a discounted rate of just 3 mana. When we do, they come into play, we get their awesome enter the battlefield effects, and then at our end step, they get exiled. But here's the best part. We can just cast them again from exile on a later turn. This creates the incredible recurring value engine where we're constantly reusing our best ETB effects and getting extra value from casting spells from exile. It's a super fun, dynamic, and powerful strategy that's all about tempo and overwhelming value. I can't wait to show you how it all comes together. Alright, so the heart and soul of our deck is abusing Tannuk's warp ability and the creatures that have incredible enter the battlefield or ETB effects. These are our warp Allstars, and they are just so much fun to play. First up, we have the amazing Skitterbeam Battalion, normally a 9 mana spell. We can warp it in just for 3. It enters the battlefield and we create 2 token copies of it. That's 3 hasty 4/4s with trample swinging in out of nowhere. Then at our end step, the original gets exiled and we can cast it again later to do it all over again, right? It's just an insane amount of value. Next, we have Trumpeting Carnosaur. When the big dino enters, we get the Discover 5, which lets us cast another spell from the top of our library for free. Getting that effect twice is just fantastic. And for a pure chaotic cascade of value, we have Maelstrom Colossus. Warping this in lets us cascade it or cascade another spell, and then we can cast it again from exile to cascade again. It's this beautiful value-packed engine that really showcases the power of our commander. So we're constantly casting our creatures from exile thanks to Tannuk's warp ability. How do we take that to the next level? With cards that actually reward us for doing it. These are our cast from exile payoffs, and they turn our value engine into a serious win condition. Flaming Tyrannosaurus is an absolute monster in this deck. Whenever we cast a spell from anywhere other than our hand, like our warped creatures from exile, this dino deals 3 damage to any target and gets a +1/+1 counter. Its removal, a growing threat, and a board wipe when it dies all in one. The Passionate Archaeologist is a background that gives our commander a super powerful ability. Whenever we cast a spell from exile, Tannuk deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to an opponent. This can add up incredibly fast and lets us burn our opponent out just by executing our main game plan. Similarly, the Keeper of Secrets is a big hasty demon that also deals damage equal to that spell's mana value whenever we cast something from exile. The synergy here is just incredible. Tannuk's warp ability is fantastic, but what if we want to get even more value out of our ETB creatures or protect them from removal? That's where our Blink and Bounce package comes in. These cards let us reuse our best effects over and over again. The classic Conjurer's Closet is perfect for this. At the beginning of our end step, we can exile one of our creatures and immediately return it to the battlefield, triggering its ETB effect again. It's a great way to get extra value every single turn. Cloudstone Curio is a really cool and powerful artifact that lets us bounce a creature back to our hand whenever another creature enters the battlefield. This lets us replay our best ETB creatures, and with our commander giving them haste, we can get immediate value. And for a more interactive option, Erratic Portal is a fantastic tool that lets us pay 1 mana to bounce a creature back to our hand, which can either save one of our creatures from a removal spell or let us reuse a powerful ETB effect at instant speed. While our deck is full of awesome value creatures, sometimes you just need a big splashy monster to close out the game. Let me tell you, we have some of the best in the business. First up is the one and only Atali Primal Storm. This Elder Dragon is one of the most fun cards in all of Commander. When it attacks, we get to cast a free spell from the top of each player's library. Warping a Tali for 3 mana, getting a free round of spells, and then getting to cast it again later is just an incredible feeling. Next, we have Drakuseth, Maw of Flames. This massive dragon is a flying board wipe on a stick. When it attacks, it deals 4 damage to one target and 3 damage to 2 other targets. It's perfect for clearing out blockers and pushing through that final bit of damage. And for a truly overwhelming board presence, we have Utvara Hellkite. Whenever any of our dragons attack, we create a 6/6 flying dragon token. This can get out of hand incredibly fast and let us build an unstoppable air force. Now let's talk about some really fun and explosive ways to cheat our big creatures into play. Sneak Attack is a classic red enchantment for a reason. For just 1 red mana, we can put any creature from our hand directly onto the battlefield with haste. It's the perfect way to surprise our opponents with a massive threat like Drakuseth or Tali, get a huge hit, and then we can even let it get exiled by Tannuk's warp ability to cast it again later. The new Calamity Galloping Inferno is another super fun way for extra value. When this horse attacks while saddled, it creates 2 token copies of the creature that saddled it. Imagine saddling it with a Maelstrom Colossus and getting 2 extra Cascade triggers. And for the ultimate high risk, high reward play, we have the infamous World Gorger Dragon. When it enters, exile all of our other permanents. This can be used to protect our board from a wipe, or with the right setup, create some really wild infinite combos. It's a super fun and powerful card for the most adventurous pilot. One of the challenges in mono red can be generating resources, but luckily we have some amazing tools to keep the value train rolling. The one and only Ragavan Nimble Pilferer is a fantastic early game threat that can generate a treasure and let us steal a card from our opponent's library every time it connects. The Cavern Horde Dragon is a huge threat that can often be cast for just a couple of mana, thanks to its affinity for artifacts. When it hits a player, it creates a treasure for each artifact that player controls, which can lead to some absolutely massive mana turns. And for a truly game-winning play, there's Hellkite Tyrant. Not only does it steal all of an opponent's artifacts when it deals damage, but it also has an alternate win condition. If we control 20 or more artifacts at the beginning of our upkeep, we win the game on the spot. It's a super fun and powerful way to close things out. Let's dive into one of my favorite mechanics in all of Magic, Cascade. This deck is perfectly set up to take advantage of this fun and powerful ability. Sunbird Invocation is an amazing enchantment that lets us look at the top cards of our library whenever we cast a spell from our hand and cast another smaller spell for free. It's a beautiful cascade of value that just feels amazing to resolve. Wild Magic Sorcerer is another fantastic piece of this puzzle. It gives the first spell we cast from exile each turn Cascade. Since our commander is constantly letting us cast spells from exile, this is an incredibly consistent way to get extra value from every single turn. And for a more targeted approach, the Dark Apostle has an activated ability that gives our next non-creature spell Cascade. It's a great way to get some extra juice out of our removal or ramp spells. Let's talk about some really cool and creative ways to reuse our awesome ETB effects. The Getaway card is a fantastic vehicle that can bounce a creature that crewed it back to our hand when it attacks or blocks. It's a great way to save a creature or set it up to be replayed for more value. The Scrappy Bruiser has a really interesting ability that can pump one of our attacking creatures and then bounce it back to our hand at the end of combat. It's another awesome way to protect our threats and get more ETB triggers. And for a really fun and old school piece of tech, we have Cold Storage. This artifact lets us pay 3 mana to exile one of our creatures, and then we can sacrifice it later to bring back everything we've stored underneath it. It's a fantastic way to protect our entire board from a wipe and bring it all back at the perfect moment. Now let's look at some of our big splashy artifacts that can completely take over a game. Coveted Jewel is a high risk, high reward card that I just love. When it enters, we draw 3 cards, and it can tap for 3 mana of any one color. The catch is that an opponent can steal it if they hit us with an unblocked creature. But in our deck, we can use our bounce and blink effects to constantly replay it, drawing more and more cards while keeping it out of our opponent's hands. Portal to Pyrexia is an absolute powerhouse. When it enters, each opponent has to sacrifice 3 creatures, and then at the beginning of our upkeep, we get to reanimate a creature from our graveyard, well, from any graveyard actually. And it's a one-sided board wipe and a reanimation engine all in one. And for pure relentless destruction, there is City Scrape Leveler. When we cast it and whenever it attacks, it destroys a non-land permanent, leaving behind a Power Stone token. It's an incredible threat that can dismantle our opponent's board piece by piece. Even though we're a proactive, aggressive deck, we still need some good interaction to deal with our opponent's threats. Luckily, red has some of the best and most fun removal in the game. Blasphemous Act is a staple for a reason. It's a board wipe that can often be cast for just a single red mana, and it's perfect for clearing the way for our big threats. For more targeted removal, Chaos Warp is an incredibly flexible instant that can deal with any permanent on the board by shuffling it into the owner's library. You never know what they're going to flip out, but which it adds a really fun element of randomness to the game. And in a similar vein, Wild Magic Surge is another fantastic piece of permanent removal that replaces the destroy permanent with another one of the same type from the top of their library. It's a great way to deal with a problem while keeping the game fun and interesting. To make sure our deck runs smoothly and we can cast all of our awesome spells, we have a solid package of ramp and mana acceleration. The Ruby Medallion is an all-star in mono red decks. Making all of our red spells cost just 1 less to cast. This can lead to some incredibly explosive turns where we can cast multiple spells in a row. For a big burst of mana, Mana Geyser is one of the best rituals in the format. It gives us 1 red mana for each tapped land our opponent controls, which can often generate 10, 15, or even more in a single go. And of course, no Commander deck is complete without the one and only Soul Ring. It's the best mana rock ever printed for a reason, and it helps us get our game plan online a turn or 2 ahead of schedule. And that is it for our deep dive into this awesome and super fun Tannuk Steadfast Second. As you can see, this deck is just an absolute blast. It's all about proactive, aggressive gameplay and leveraging Tannuk's unique warp ability to create a relentless engine of value that can overwhelm the table. If you love turning creatures sideways, getting tons of value from ETB effects, playing a really unique and dynamic mono red strategy, I honestly can't recommend this commander enough. What are some of your favorite red creatures or artifacts to abuse with Tannuk's warp ability? I would love to hear your ideas in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.